Hello, it's Catherine here, accompanied by my familiar soundtrack of shingle crunching on the beach. One of the best noises. I'm walking over a load of oyster shells right now. They have a particular jingle. It's so nice. I am just taking a little break because there's always plenty to do in January. And I'm also trying to live out my sole New Year's resolution, which is to remember to leave the house for things this year. Last year, I was stuck in a lot, looking after people, trying to get my work done in between. Things are settling, and it's so easy to get out of the habit of actually stepping outside the front door for things, rather than always feeling that there isn't enough time. I always say that walking creates time because you get to actually think rather than just act all the time. It's really important for me in my work and in my life to make sure I do that. But there's a extra extension to that New Year's resolution, which is particularly relevant to my guest today, the brilliant Ece Temelkuran, political philosopher, if that's not such a grand word to use, an all-round deeply interesting woman who writes about how we can resist the roll towards right-wing authoritarianism that we're seeing throughout the world. And one of the things she talks about is rebuilding communities. And that's part of my small New Year's resolution this year, which is to do more things in person rather than online. Listen, I'm an autistic woman. I have very happily run with open arms towards the convenience of doing stuff online. And by stuff, I mean anything from getting my prescriptions delivered to my door, to ordering groceries, to booking appointments or tables at restaurants. I have been so happy to do those things anonymously and without any social contact, because social contact is often very tiring. But what I've realised is that it's very easy to wind up having no contact with other people, with strangers, and therefore to become almost slightly suspicious of the outside world, to see it as more burdensome than it needs to be. One of the things that my husband's illness last year really showed me was actually how kind and helpful complete strangers often are. And it's made me begin to try to reverse out of my default position of doing everything online if I possibly can. I started backtracking. I started getting my prescriptions from the local pharmacist, who has been so helpful to us this year. I've started ordering in the basics for my groceries. You know, the boring things like washing powder. But actually wandering into town when I need some carrots or some onions or whatever else it is that I can buy in the grocers. I know not everyone can do this, and I'm very lucky to live by a row of good old-fashioned shops where I can buy the stuff to make dinner But it's right that I go and do it. Get some fresh air. Say hello to people. Get to know them, you know? It's one of the things that we all need to think about, is how to... Ooh, sorry. I spotted a curlew and I stopped talking mid-word, not even mid-sentence. I don't know if you can hear him on the recording, that lovely fluting sound. So beautiful this time of year. Sorry, anyway, yeah. I felt a bit lonely towards the end of last year. And I realised that some of that is definitely my own doing. And that I can trust people to just pass the time of day. I'll try and remember to check in on how my New Year's resolution is doing. But do you know what? Already the step count has gone up on my Fitbit, which can be no bad thing at all. Anyway, that was a long way of saying that I think you will find Ece brilliant, intelligent, fascinating and inspiring. She's a little lantern in the darkness, I would say. Anyway, you have a listen, see what you think, and I will be back a little later. Ece, welcome to the clearing. It is so lovely to have you here.
You too, Catherine. I mean, it's amazing to see you again after a very long time.
No, it's been a while. We first met in a very glamorous place in Switzerland, didn't we? Do you remember?
Oh, yes, no,
The place was amazing.
Switzerland, the most glamorous place on the planet.
So fancy. Yeah, that was incredible. Well, look, I'm so delighted to have you here. And this is a podcast about how we take a break in hard times and how we kind of crave for rest. How's your year been? How are you feeling? How much of a rest do you need?
I'm already living in January 2026. So the book is coming out. Nation of Strangers is coming out in several countries. So in my head, I'm in January already, like mid-January. So, and I was thinking how exhausting this is to live in two times, both in now and in the future, so to speak. My year has been, well, half of it was trying to finish the book until May.
Know the feeling.
Yeah, and I moved to Berlin like 2 years ago, and I started writing the book. Until May, I didn't really connect it to anyone. I didn't do anything, and by May, I kind of raised my head. Oh, here it is, Berlin. There are people living here. So since May, it's a little bit more humane. But yeah. I am at the moment in the future already.
Yeah, I think book launches are so hard in a way that's really hidden from the outside world. Like, it doesn't sound like a very hard thing to launch a book, but it just, I think particularly when you've got multiple countries that you're thinking about, it just feels like a lot of stuff coming at you at once and your mind feels so scattered. Well, mine does anyway.
You know what? It is most interesting about this period, book coming out to the world, is that you write a book. It has deeper, meanings for you. Of course, it comes from a very deep place and so on. But then you have to rip up the meaning of the book, formulate it in punchlines, so to speak. The world pushes you to do that. And resisting that sort of obligation and also having to do that in a way, it's kind of, this is the period right before the book comes out. This is the period where you have to redefine the book for the outside world. So it is interesting.
Yeah. It's like brain gym.
Yeah, it's like wrapping your baby in nice clothes or, wraps so that people like it, kind of.
Yeah, and I've not read the book yet. I've not had the chance to yet, but Nation of Strangers, sounds like it was quite a big project to pull together as well. From the format is letters between strangers, right?
Yeah, it is written in letters in that sense. It's a series of letters, but these letters are also chronological, so it looks like a diary a little bit as well.
Right.
So it tells the story between me and the world in a way. It was a big, ambitious thing to do, and one of the reasons that this is a special project, so to speak, or work, is that this is the first time I think I really talked about myself. It is the conclusion of a 10-year-long sentence. And this sentence began when I left Turkey in 2016, when I started writing How to Lose a Country. And it carried on with Together, a manifesto against the heartless world. And then now it is the completion of a period in my life. It's 10 years, like the return journey of Odysseus, in a way.
Yeah.
So I am returning home. And also I'm returning to literature a little bit. Because when I left the country, there was this urgency that I felt. I felt like I have to write about politics. I had to write about, what's going to happen in Europe and in Western countries in general, about fascism, about the political insanity that they will witness, they will suffer. And then came Together as the solution to today's political insanity. And I wrote about values, politics of emotions, and several other things in that book. And finally, I think I had the stamina or the courage to talk about myself. And you can read it as, I think, as a, I don't know, something like, what does today's world do to a person? This is the, and this is the account of that, I think, Nation of Strangers.
Well, I mean, you've been living for a decade now outside of a sense of safety, I think, kind of under slight threat because of the things that you've said and how they land in your country. You've been living a fairly itinerant life, living across different countries. You've been this extraordinarily powerful voice, predictive voice of like the political situation that you could see coming, but which we were often too complacent to believe could happen to us. It's not surprising. That's quite tiring. I mean, I hate to suggest it, but that's a lot to have carried with you for a decade.
There were several tiring or exhausting things, to be honest. But one of them was, when I came to Zagreb from Turkey after the military coup attempt and after the life has become absolutely unsafe for me at home. I didn't have a plan. I literally came to Zagreb with 2 shirts and 1 pair of pants. I was going to stay there for 3 days and then go back home. And then after sleeping one night and feeling that, this was what sleeping looked like, I decided to stay like suddenly. So leaving the country like that without a plan was, made my life a little bit hard, I think.
Tricky, yeah.
But, then I started writing How to Lose a Country when it was published. I went around the world for 2 times, almost, telling the audiences what's going to happen, from Australia to, I don't know, New York, Washington, and so on. The most tiring thing was that people, as you said, they were in a bit of denial, so to speak. And I understand that, like, a woman coming from Turkey saying that what had happened in her crazy country will happen to them. It was, I think it was hard to bear that idea. And it was hard to tell everything over and over again and seeing people were not convinced. I'm like, here's a funny story. How to Lose a Country. The original subtitle was 7 Steps from Democracy to Dictatorship. And I wanted subtitle to be From Democracy to Fascism. And none of my editors in Europe thought that, like, what are you talking about? What's fascism? That's a retro concept.
That's over.
And then now it's republished with a new preface from Canongate, and the subtitle is fascism. And all my editors in Europe want that word in the subtitle. So this is how the world changed.
You must get so frustrated with the outside world. You're 5 years ahead of everyone all the time, if not more. It must drive you crazy.
Well, one has to mature enough not to say, I told you so.
Do you, though?
No, I mean, like, the thing is, when you write such books about such subjects, you cannot indulge in yourself. I mean, like, you cannot feel triumphant to see that you have predicted things rightly.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're suffering, and I told you that already.
Yeah. It's hard to feel pleased when it comes to pass, really. Yeah.
I cannot go basking in that. I think the exhausting thing, which Nation of Strangers came out of, is that when I left the country, when I saw the political situation, and when I had that urgency of telling about the new form of fascism, I made a pact with myself. I said, because suddenly I realized that, losing a home or leaving the country, it will get to me. It will be really painful. So I made a pact with myself saying that I am going to put my heart in the freezer. And I literally imagined the organ, the heart, in the freezer, in the fridge.
Held in suspension, not feeling all
not
the stuff
feeling,
that
because I felt like if I start to feel, it will be impossible for me to think. I will become pain, only pain. That heart that I put in the freezer, I think, was exhausted to be there for such a long time. And in 2022, 23, when I started writing the book, that was the process that happened, with Nation of Strangers. It was melting of the frozen heart.
Mm.
And I wanted to talk about what is being unhomed, what being homeless feels like. Because and this is the main idea behind the book. It's not my homelessness, but the homelessness of our times. Because I noticed that many of us are putting our hearts in the freezer, not to feel too much. We are asked by our times to numb ourselves. And that is a very exhausting thing. So I think there is a parallel with my homelessness, between my homelessness and the homelessness of the world, of the zeitgeist that we are in, the soul of our times. Because we are becoming homeless on so many different levels. We are becoming morally homeless when such cruel things are happening in the world and we have no institution to turn to. That is moral homelessness. And, there are many political parties, but there is not that one political party that we would feel at home when we vote for.
Yeah.
And there is, with AI, there is this spiritual homelessness. I mean, there's this thing that we created that speaks. And this idea, this knowledge in our head is so ingrained that if something speaks, that's human. So we are encountering with an entity that speaks, but not human. So that is making us ask questions such as, like, what is human then? So we're losing our spiritual home of being human as well.
Yeah.
And of course, there is the physical homelessness, refugee crisis, migrants.
Which is growing and growing and growing all the time.
Yeah, and in London and several other places, people are afraid of losing their homes to migrants, to refugees, which is a real, sometimes manufactured, but also a real fear as well.
Mm.
So I wanted to bring together these, my personal homelessness and the homelessness of the world, and to tell people that this is what's going to happen to you. You will have to put your hearts in the freezer. You will have to ask yourself what dignity is, because one of the big concepts when you have to face after becoming homeless is dignity. And then you will have to learn to live on other people's kindness, because that becomes your home, the only home that you can build. That's why the subtitle of the book is Rebuilding Home in 21st Century.
Yeah. So it's reconnecting with that idea of a sanctuary, like a place where we feel safe and secure, which feels increasingly distant for so many people. And I think we can see on the horizon that it will be more of us.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like you talk about these things, wintering and so on. Like we are in a winter of humanity, and I think this should humble us, and this should make us realize that we have nothing but each other, and sometimes there is not even hope. But then we have to believe that having each other is enough, and we have to have faith in each other, in ourselves, that we can rebuild something new, a new world, and so on. But then one has to become humble enough to accept this fact. And if I may connect this to How to Lose a Country, one of the things that stopped people understanding what's happening to them and therefore act upon it was that their arrogance, I think. They weren't humble enough to accept that, my country can go through something Turkey, that crazy country, went through. So, humility is something that is very much in the heart of Nation of Strangers. Something I think we don't think about, because that concept, together with love and compassion, is so much monopolized by religion.
I tried to write a book about humility a couple of years ago, and everybody was like wary of it as a concept. Like, I think it's one of the most important qualities that we can practice, because it's hard to allow yourself humility. Like, it feels much more protected to not allow humility in. But actually, people were just very wary of the idea of it, and of telling people to be humble was seen as like quite politically difficult as well.
Yeah, but then I think there is a political reason behind it that we don't really acknowledge. And there is a big, letter about this in Nation of Strangers. I think that we have the fear of equality.
Yeah.
Although we ask for equality, deep inside we are contaminated by this neoliberal morality, or lack of it, rather. We feel like if we are equal, we are pulled down. So there is a fear of equality, that is stopping us from being humble. There is some sort of fear connected to that lack of humility. But then only with humility, I think we can create real relationships that can become our home in this unhoming century.
Everyone wants to be above equality.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm talking about these concepts quite a long time, especially since together, like love, humility, compassion, and so on. And when people, especially politicized groups, hear about these concepts, they go like a little bit suspicious, so to speak. Like, is a pastor talking? Is a reverend?
Is this religion? Wait, no, don't trick me.
Yeah. But then I think there is some sort of arrogance there as well. Let me tell you a funny story. Vienna, I was in Vienna in a symposium, and I was talking about humility, care, love, and so on. And then suddenly, I'm like, I didn't plan it. I went down the stage and I started shaking people's hands. And I said, we should go back to not go back, but we should adopt these gestures of humility, gestures of love. We should reclaim them from the church. Normally in a church, people would do that. Hello, how are you? How are, blah, blah, blah. We don't do that, as if politics is another plateau that we are living in, higher plateau. No, I mean, like, and people need this. It's a very, very lonely time that we are going through, and people need to be held.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that would make them feel at home, I think. At least it's for me, and that's why I wrote Nation of Strangers.
I think your instinct is right. But Ece, let's take you into this space of rest then, because I am really curious to know how someone who lives your life that is so full of like big important ideas takes it easy. So I'm going to invite you into my clearing in the woods.
Okay.
Welcome. Tell me what it looks like for you. Tell me what landscape, when you're in need of a rest, whether it's an imaginary landscape or where you actually go, tell me what landscape you'd turn to rest in. Where in the world or the universe would feel like a place that could hold you?
I can give you an exact picture.
Perfect.
The sea, but then between the sea and me, there should be branches of a tree.
Oh,
So
lovely.
I have to look at this picture, which I did, by the way, last summer. I was so exhausted for 3 days. I literally sat down, did nothing, spoke nothing, wrote nothing, and then I looked at this, branch and the sea behind. That was, I think, without noticing, I was meditating somehow. I've never practiced meditation, but then now I know that this is meditation. Like there was zero thought in my head because my brain was so exhausted. So I just looked, listening to the, what do you call them? The bugs,
the cicadas, like
cicadas,
or crickets,
yeah. This was in Greece, so a lot of cicadas.
They really make a noise.
Yeah, but it becomes meditative after a while. So this is where I let it go, as you say, or rest, really.
Yeah. So it's that kind of Mediterranean sea, particularly that very kind of blue.
Yes.
And I'm thinking cypress trees or those lovely kind of larch pine trees.
Larch pine trees, of course.
That smell really delicious.
And the smell, I know. I mean, like, that's also my childhood. I mean, like, I grew up in Izmir, so those trees, the smell and the sound of cicadas. And I don't know, for some reason, the does, I think, make different sounds in Turkey, or maybe they are different sound. They are different birds. I don't know. I have a nomadic grandmother whom I talk about in Nation of Strangers in a section. She was a little bit crazy because she was homeless as well. Homeless in a sense that, she had to live in a city. And she told me when I was very young how the birds spoke. She was translating birds to me. So, that sound of those and sound of cicadas, that branch, sea, and staying absolutely still. That's my cleansing, so to speak.
That's really lovely. And if there were a place that you were staying in, would you, like, if you were finally taking that rest that you need, would you take yourself to like a spa hotel or something like that, or would it be a hut or a cabin on your own, or a family residence? Like, where's the place that you'd like to rest in, where that view is through the window?
Oh God. No, I mean, like, this is very much connected to what is home, where is home kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And recently I thought what represents home to me is so interesting. It's my grandmother's house, but it is a moment in my grandmother, and it's a particular object, actually. It's a stove, this French style, big, large stove.
Like the ceramic ones kind of thing. Or the metal ones.
Where you can also cook it. And also it's,
heats the house and cooks and does everything. Yeah.
I think my ultimate fantasy about a home is to have a place wherever it is, and to have this cuisine, as we call it, and I think it's a French word. This stove there. But then, when you ask that, it's also, walking in the woods. And I'm now in Berlin. So there is a very small park very close to my place. And every morning I'm going there. And this is the first time I'm telling it to someone. I shouldn't be telling it on a podcast, probably.
You need to keep it secret.
No, there are 3 trees that I say hello to every morning. It kind of connects me to the actual world, I think, to the the truth of the world, not the real world itself, but the truth of the world. And it centers me in a way to speak to the trees. And I speak sometimes a little bit longer, to be honest.
I too have a chat with certain trees, so please don't feel embarrassed here. We're all tree talkers, and some trees really demand your respect, I think.
Exactly. I mean, like, I imagine them being happy, especially this willow tree. Willow, do you call it willow tree?
Willow, yeah. That's right, yeah.
Willow tree. I mean, like, today I looked, I'm like, there was no single leaf. And I said, oh, sleep well, darling. I'll see you in spring.
I'm sure they love your attention.
Hopefully.
Sure.
I'd like to think so.
Do the woods feel right in, like, the middle of Europe, in Germany or wherever you are, do they feel like the right woods, or are they the woods you actually crave?
This is such a good question. Because now I am spending a little bit time in Greece and coming back and forth. There is a big difference in the natural habitat, obviously. And, the small trees where you can reach the top of it, like these orange trees, tangerine trees, and so on. It feels so, I don't know, hobbit-like. It's so cute. Whereas you come to Germany and you have these sturdy trees, male almost. I don't know. It feels, those trees feel male to me.
Yeah.
Whereas,
big
those small,
striding trees,
fertile small trees are female. I'm trying to connect to trees, and this is very new in my life. I would have made fun of these things, I don't know, 5 years ago. I think it's aging as well.
Yeah.
And women, as women age, they get more connected to nature, perhaps. So wherever I go, 1 week ago I was in London, and I went to Hyde Park just to see the trees, like to say hello to trees, because you never know. I mean, like in Germany, they might not understand English, these trees, but
you need trees that speak your language. It's really important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, I looked at the trees and I thought, I should do this wherever I go, because maybe trees tell the truth of a country more than the people do.
I think that might be true, and how we care for our trees is actually a really big indicator.
Yeah,
like what we care for and whether trees matter. It's one of those flags.
Yeah,
for me.
When many things are lost in Turkey, but I think one of the biggest heartbreaks, like really biggest heartbreaks, collective heartbreaks, was this big wood fire, like the forest fire that happened. That actually happens every year, but there was the biggest
particularly big one,
and there was nothing that the government did. So that broke people's hearts in a completely different way. You somehow get used to political crisis, the political cruelty, but then cruelty to the trees, that's something else, and that breaks your heart on a different level, I think. So you're right. How we treat our trees
makes total sense.
Is a moral and political issue, really.
The wrong kind of mind sees a forest as potentially profitable land. That's the truth of it. That's why it's an indicator, because actually the trees are more valuable cut down to people that don't understand how important trees are.
Yeah. I mean, like, if people are trying to survive, like they're starving and they need to cut for, I understand that. But for greed, that I don't understand, really.
Yeah. I'm interested to know how this connects to food as well, whether there's like a strong yearning for a certain kind of food that would feel restful for you now. And whether, I wonder if the idea of the forest with its, or with the citrus trees connects to that idea for you. Like, what would feel restorative to you to be fed in this time?
This is the closest thing to home, more than anything, I guess, food. And there's a funny section in Nation of Strangers about this, because you see, I didn't want to come to Berlin. I lived in Zagreb for 6 years. One of the reasons was there was no Turkish community in Zagreb. This is a personal, character feature, I think, for me. If I am leaving something, if it pains me, I don't want to be reminded of it. I mean, like, okay, my hand is hurting, let's cut it so it doesn't hurt.
Freezing again, isn't it?
Yeah, radical solutions. Yeah. So coming to Berlin was particularly hard because there's a big Turkish community here. So, and diaspora is such a complicated thing. Will you be part of it? Will you be frozen in time with them? Because when you come together with diaspora, there is nothing else but home that, on several levels, you talk about home, and that is painful. But then I think there was a pride matter. It was a matter of pride for me not to talk about food. I didn't listen to Turkish music for 7 years, nothing. I didn't read anything in Turkish, I can say that. I was trying to cut that, aching thing in me. So food was a big part of it. I was trying to get used to whatever food there is served in that country.
Yeah.
But Berlin, you cannot escape.
Full of Turkish food.
And now, like a humble person, I am going to the Turkish supermarket, buying all the things that I miss, and I'm cooking. It's so funny when you're unhomed, cooking becomes a long process of substitutes. There's, you don't have it here, so you use instead of that, you use this other thing.
Everything's like an analogy for the right thing.
Exactly.
It's not quite the same, but everything's,
And at the end, the outcome, the product is nothing, anything like.
Because even the water tastes different. That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah,
like every little aspect just isn't right. Even like milk, you'd think milk would taste the same everywhere in the world. It doesn't.
Yeah.
So
it becomes more miserable. You see, I mean, like it becomes more miserable to eat that substitute food rather than absolutely forgetting about it. So, I mean, like it depends on how you, connect yourself to your pain. But this is how I disconnect myself from my pain, in a way. But but if you want to know I
always want to know about the food. Yeah. Like that's always the thing I go straight for.
By the way, I'm a good cook.
I could guess that about you.
Really?
I could just guess from the way you talk. You can just tell.
I can eat well. I can cook well.
Yeah.
Right. So it's sarma, which is also called dolma. Wine leaves.
Stuffed vine leaves.
Yeah.
With rice inside?
With rice and herbs. And Izmir style, that's a different style. It's very, very thin, like, pinky thin.
Right.
So yeah, I like to make that, and I also love to eat it.
Oh, lovely. And you've been reunited with that, have you, in Berlin?
Yes, actually I am.
That's really good.
And it's a lot of labor to do that. So I don't do it like every other week, but I do it sometimes.
No, it's the big thing. I love that. Okay, so so a lot of this rest is like a return to identity after a long time of trying to avoid it. We always ask our guests as well if there would be an object that they brought with them to this retreat, this place of recuperation, that would soothe them or comfort them. Is there something like that for you? Is there something you've carried around the world with you that has reminded you of home?
Yeah, for a very long time. There was this old cardigan, and I wore it while writing How to Lose a Country and Together. And then during pandemic, this is a very, metaphorical story, I think. During pandemic, I knit myself a massive, massive shawl. I mean, it's like a blanket. The funny bit is, as soon as I came to Berlin, by accident, I washed it in hot water, and now it's very small.
No, it's like a tiny, tiny.
So it was like it was my cocoon. So now I have no cocoon to go back to. I have to rebuild a new home, obviously. So that cardigan is still with me. I'm not wearing it anymore. I think I kind of cut my umbilical cord with the old one. But yeah, the cardigan. It's very old.
What color? I need to picture it. What color was it?
It is grayish blue.
Ooh, like
And
like
it's not fancy at all. It's really like, everybody hates it except for me.
The only problem I've got is I'm picturing this place being warm and then you're in a cardigan, which I'm finding really troubling. We need some cold weather for you.
Yeah, Zagreb was cold. In Hamburg, I was in Hamburg for 1.5 years. Hamburg was very cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That must have taken some getting used to after living in Turkey all your life.
Yeah, I mean, like, until Hamburg, weather has not been a subject in my life, and I always found it a little bit funny that British people constantly talk about weather.
Oh yeah, we can't stop. We just can't stop ourselves. I'm so sorry.
It's like a folkloric thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, in Hamburg, I every day talked about weather.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. When the weather is so changeable, you have to talk about it because it's crazy making to like.
So I'm not making fun of those people anymore.
Oh no, do it. We deserve it. We know we're obsessed. It's fine. And what would you do all day if you were resting? Are you the kind of person who can sit still? Or are you someone who rests in motion and who would be going out walking or doing something? Are you able to stop?
When I'm really, really, really exhausted, which is very frequent, by the way.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I literally, have my breakfast and then lie down on the sofa, turn on Netflix or whatever, something, and something absolutely ridiculous. Well, yeah, and then watch it and doze off.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, actually, okay, I shouldn't be saying these things.
Sorry.
For 2 years, especially while writing the book, my antidepressant thing was Downton Abbey.
Oh, you're a Downton fan. Yeah.
I think I watched it for 3 times back to back, again and again, and mostly for Maggie Smith. I'm so sorry that we lost her.
She's wonderful. I mean,
Yeah.
goddess.
Yeah.
Goddess.
Yeah, goddess, exactly.
Yeah.
I should turn her into a novel character, like a proper one.
Is there like a Turkish version of Dame Maggie? Like it feels like she's a universal female character.
I wrote this novel, Women Who Blow on Knots, and there is a character there, Madame Lila, and Downton Abbey happened much later. And I thought when watching Downton Abbey, oh, this is Madame Lila. Yeah, it's so similar.
Yeah. Those kind of flinty,
larger than life.
Yeah,
you hate it, but you love it. That kind of
in charge of everything. Yeah. I mean, I find things like Downton quite difficult because it represents because I'm so chippy about the British class system. Basically,
of course, it is horrible, politically horrible. That's why I shouldn't be talking about it. But
I know, but it's so beloved. I had an eye test recently with an optician, a young Nigerian woman. And she'd only been in the country for 3 years, and I was chatting away, and she suddenly said to me, well, of course, I mean, you have debutante's balls, don't you, when you're a teenager? So you'll have been through that. And I was like,
what?
No. And I was like, do you watch Downton Abbey? She's like, yeah, I love it. And I was like, you have such the wrong impression of what we actually get up to. But I sort of loved it that she imagined me as a teenager in this giant floofy frock, like being introduced into society. Like that did not happen.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, one wants to think written like that. Well, anyway, it's a politically very, very wrong thing to watch. But then, yeah, you know why I'm watching these things? Because these people do not have real problems.
Yeah.
So it's like super, I don't know, relaxing. Otherwise, I mean, like, if you want to know what I am fan of, really, that would be Peaky Blinders. What official you is a fan
of? Peaky Blinders.
That was Peaky Blinders, like, forever, or that kind of thing. But then, when I'm really don't want to think, I'm doing politically incorrect things. Let's put it that way.
I totally get it. Like you can't be pure-minded all the time. Like I think your escapism is into enjoying Downton, which I think is great. You may have as many of those as you like when we're hosting you.
Yeah, whenever I'm writing a book, there is this, I don't know, it's a little bit obsessive compulsive thing. For instance, I listen to the same music for 1 year.
Yeah.
Anyone who's living with me would drive crazy. For this book, Nation of Strangers, it was Jacqueline Dupré. Wow. I listened to her for more than 1 year.
Over and over again. Yeah.
And then Downton Abbey. Now and then when I'm really desperate, I went to Downton Abbey. These things are like, I think it's about feeling at home again. This repetition, when you're a child, repetition gives you the sense of security. It's not much different than that,
Yeah. No, repetition. I think writing is very ritualized, actually. I think we all have our kind of weird rituals.
Yeah. What's yours?
I pull tarot cards before I sit down to write. That's the first thing I do.
I can't
kind of get into it without it. Yeah. I find it, I mean, I'm asking for my own state of mind, really. And I just find it makes that transition for me into thinking about thinking almost.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of, it kind of takes me
Yeah.
into that slightly meta space where I'm thinking about how I'm thinking, what sort of mood I'm in this morning, like how it's gonna, whether it's gonna really work. You know, it lets me surface that. And I listen to the sound of the sea in my ears. I can't do music at all. I used to listen to Thomas Tallis, like the kind of 17th century, maybe earlier, choral music,
Okay.
which I really loved. But now I've simplified it. And for a while I listened to the sound of rain, but now I have Irish sea, specifically Irish. Yeah.
That is absolutely very particular.
Yeah, it is,
must
because the app I've got has also got Icelandic sea and I don't like it. It's not right.
Look at that. I
So
have
yeah,
to check this
it
out.
has to be Irish.
Like, I have to find Mediterranean Sea at some point.
Yeah, the
in
Irish,
this
I think
case.
there is,
Yeah.
although it's not very noisy, is it, the Mediterranean? It's quite,
Is it?
well, it's not crashing, you know, it's
Yeah.
not like
Yeah, it's not
making,
crashing.
I mean, the Irish one is really noisy because it's like banging itself against rocks with
I'm not
giant waves.
surprised.
That's what I need. The Mediterranean Sea is just too calm and too tranquil to record.
That's lovely.
But yeah, so I listen to that in my ears, and I find that, yeah, it takes me into concentration really easily.
Yeah, we need soothing before starting to write, I think. You know,
Yeah.
of course, there's a little bit of fear every time you start, and something has to soothe that fear, and those repetitions or, rituals, I think, there to prepare yourself. Like, yeah, I can.
I think every single day I think I can't do it still.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I still think, oh no, I won't be able to do it today. I got nothing.
Okay, let me tell you something. I've been writing since I am 8. My mother bought me this poetry notebook, and I thought I should write poetry since a poetry notebook is bought for me. I didn't know that I should recite poetry from written. Anyway, this is how I started writing, literally, really, when I was 8. And since I was 8, there hasn't been a day, I think, that I haven't written.
Wow, that's incredible.
And I did journalism, so there wasn't this luxury of, I cannot do it. You are supposed to do it. End of story.
Get the words out. Yeah.
But then this summer, for the first time, I didn't write anything for more than 3 months. And my partner, he was even afraid of me. Like, what's happening to you? You're not writing.
What did it do to you?
Because for such a long time, you define yourself as a person who is writing, constantly writing. And I always knew when I was even 8, I knew I was going to be a writer. So there was no, debate about that in my head. But for the first time, while looking at the tree and the sea and so on, I thought, who am I if I'm not writing? It didn't happen intentionally, to be honest, but it was, this is interesting, not writing. Let's try this a little bit.
What person is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also about...
What did you learn about yourself?
Of course, especially if you're a woman, your self-worth is so connected to what you achieve. Not only because of the system we're living in, but also because of patriarchy, but also because of whatever, like, your childhood and everything. The other day, I actually asked AI, because some of my friends are using AI as therapists. It's a growing thing. And I asked AI, what is the most common problem that people talk to you about? And it said self-worth. So self-worth is a big problem, especially for women, I think. So that question, who am I when I'm not writing, is also the question of, like, am I worth anything if I'm not writing? So it was a little unintentional experiment, so to speak, not writing. And it was incredibly relaxing and
Life
cleansing.
got so much easier.
Yeah. Because you make your job, not also, everyday job, but also like internally, in a very spiritual way, you make it your job to write. Whereas, no, it's not. There might be a day that you might not write, Ece.
Yeah.
This was the thing.
It sounds really useful. I mean, my experience of not writing is more often being like held away from it. Like early motherhood was like
Yeah.
There was no writing. There was no anything. There was no like washing. There was no eating. There was just,
I know. My mother told me it's 10 years.
Yeah.
My mother is a painter, and I have a brother, and I was 10 years. She started again drawing, and I remember her crying and drawing and, you know, mourning for those 10 years and lost skills and so on. I mean, like, she's now a very well-known painter in Turkey. She has her own workshop and so on. But yeah, motherhood.
But she had that hiatus.
You're allowed to do anything. You cannot. Yeah, it's impossible.
And I've been writing the book I've just finished today, actually.
Really? Oh my God, congratulations. That's why you're so happy.
I don't the relief's quite come to me yet, but I've been writing about this last year where I was caring for my husband when he got cancer, and I've been writing about the experience of being held away from your work, you know, and like how desperate that feels really quickly, you know, this kind of this fear that you are not that you lose a bit of your personhood if you're not making the thing that it feels important to you to make. Like it's very, very real. Like I don't think I've ever had an intentional break that's felt good. I love that you did. I love that for you.
Yeah. I mean, the first time it was really interesting, but yeah, unintentionally, I don't know if I could bear that. And like, you know, if I didn't choose it, I don't know if I could bear that.
Yeah. It's weird. It's weird how it triggers all kinds of self-esteem things and fear, like raw fear if you can't.
Yeah.
You can't
this was the reason I left Turkey, because I started, you know, it became impossible to write. Not only to publish, but also to write, because, you know, at that stage, fascism becomes so fearful that you're constantly thinking about what's going to happen to you. So you intellectually get paralyzed.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, the sort of moral weight of that is terrifying.
Yeah. So in order to write, I had to go. So I hear you when you say it's, you know, yeah.
You saved yourself and you saved your writing, which are
hopefully, yes.
Really important. Well, I think the evidence suggests that you did very well at that, at least, and the world is thankful.
That's the other thing. When you're away from home, there is this secret compartment behind your head. You're constantly thinking about back home. Do they see me? Do they like me still? Although now I am writing in another language, the compartment still secretly works. And there's all kinds of complicated stuff going on in your head after leaving home. You create this virtual self, you know, that could have stayed at home.
Yeah.
And
parallel life,
parallel reality. And you are sort of comparing yourself to it. It's really complicated. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, that leads to my next question, which is I always ask if there was a cultural artifact that you could have with you, like a song or a book or a painting or something that would inspire and entertain you while you were resting. What would that be? Would that be something that reminds you of home?
I don't think so. It wouldn't be connected to home. I think it would be a book. No, it would be a notebook. Obviously.
More interested in creation than anything else.
It would be a notebook and a pen. That's it. I think, and this is, you know, for such a long time before leaving Turkey, this meant home to me, like desk and notebook, coffee, and that's it.
Yeah. Always wanting to generate, always wanting to make the next thing.
Yeah. It's speaking to yourself when there is nobody.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm doing that through writing, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, hearing your own voice. Okay, so it's time for you to leave. Time for you to leave the beautiful clearing, the beautiful sea, the trees overhanging it.
Thank you. It was lovely.
How do you know when it's time to return to the world? Like when you've been on holiday or when you've taken a rest, what are the signals for you that begin to come in that tell you that you're ready to re-enter the world? Or do you ever reach that point?
Until last summer, it was so easy to tell. I was getting anxious. like bored, and then I was checking out what people are doing in the city, like, you know,
Yeah.
whatever.
Your attention goes back to the busy places. Yeah.
But this summer, it was a very long summer, and thank God it was very long. I didn't want to come back. And this told me something about myself. I think now I'm reaching that age, I'm reaching that, not age, but phase rather, where I really want to live a serene life. And I want to go back to writing novels, actually. And yeah, I want that kind of serenity. So I am thinking still, I didn't decide, but I'm thinking, shall I maybe go and settle down in Greece? Because Mediterranean is always good for writing novels. Yeah, but then I think again, at some point, I decided to do, you know, some creative work. This time, not writing, but an installation or in collaboration with some Italian artists. So at the end of the summer, I decided to go there. I think it was again creating something and creating it with other people. I think that tells me it's end of resting now. You rested enough. Now you can give back to the world.
It's so interesting to think about your life entering a different phase, though. Like, you've done really important work for the last decade. You've tried to convince the world of what was coming. You've tried to show us how to survive it. I'm really glad that you're looking towards a more restorative phase for you. You've earned it.
I am actually. I think, yeah, 10 years is enough. And also I might even go back to my mother tongue, which is a different kind of process. But yeah, maybe literature, my mother tongue, that will be the new home in a way. Creating something there will build a home for myself. We'll see. But Nation of Strangers, I cannot wait to get it to the world and, you know, see people connect through this
that
book.
work to do first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's important. It's important.
That's another year, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and we're talking.
Yeah. It's another year's cycle that you can see ahead.
Yeah.
But after that,
perhaps we'll see.
Thank you so much. It has been a joy to speak to you. I'm so grateful.
You too. I mean, like, it's always a delight to be with you on this podcast.
Best of luck with the book. It's such a grey landscape walking out on this shingle in Whitstable today. And by that I mean I love it. I know people hate the seaside at winter, but I think it's fantastically good. So bleak. I love a bleak landscape. I don't understand why people don't like shingle beaches under rain clouds or marshland. Oh, I set my little heart on fire, honestly. I hope you got a lot out of that conversation. I really did. I feel so moved to talk to a writer effectively living in exile, unable to return to her country in fear of imprisonment, who must really long for home sometimes, and who has created for us this beautiful landscape that I know I felt very calming to be in for a while. Landscapes really matter. They're full of sensory cues that speak to us of home. It's not just the sights, it's the sounds, the particular birds that call, it's the smells that rise up from the particular trees. It's the way the wind feels where you're from. Mine is damp and only a little cold today, which is definitely how I recognise that this is Whitstable. I hope you are all listening somewhere comfortable or somewhere bleak that makes your heart leap. And if you'd like to read more about Ece, there are a few links in the show notes. Ooh, did you hear me splash in a puddle then? I nearly fell over, but not quite. I didn't have to confess to that, but felt like the honest thing to do. And I really do recommend her books. They are direct, sensible, wise and wonderful. And a few more of us could do with reading them. Right, I'm off to harass some greengrocers with my newfound fervour for being friendly. Wish me luck. Take lots of care. Bye.